and welcome to today's sequence with me, Lucy. We're going to start nice and close to the floor in a lying position today. And as we move throughout today's sequence, I want you to continually check in with your body. Do what feels good for you today. So this is your time on your mat. So do the things that feel right for you. So I'd like you to start facing the back of your mat. So sending yourself towards the back of your mat. And then we're going to lie down from there. So your head will be near what we call the top of the mat. So making sure that you have your screen somewhere where you can see, perhaps to the side. And then when you're ready, allowing yourself to relax all the way down onto your back. And already here, feel free to support your pose. Maybe it's a bit chilly. Maybe bring in a blanket, maybe bring in something under the knees, something under the head. Really listening into what your body is asking you for and giving yourself the permission to move in that direction. So allowing yourself to do what feels good for you. And then once you arrive, just making sure that the shoulders are nice and relaxed. So maybe turning your palms to face the ceiling. And just reminding the shoulders to creep down and away from the ears here. And you can allow the legs to be in line with your hips, or maybe slightly wider, and wherever you are, no tension in the hips. Feet can gently flop out to the sides. No holding at all here in the muscles. Just taking a nice big breath in. And a breath out. And when you feel ready, allowing your eyes to close. And in the first few moments here, just noticing if there's any holding or tension in your body. We begin by observing, noticing. And then we give permission to those parts of the body to release and relax. Perhaps you feel this at your shoulders, perhaps in the belly or the hips, or maybe in the muscles of the face. So giving the jaw permission to release, maybe the lips slightly part. Softening your forehead, the space between your eyebrows. And a sense of relaxing or softening the eyes behind the eyelids. And then beginning to connect to the rhythm of your breath today. As you inhale, noticing perhaps the rise of your chest and the soft fall of your chest as you exhale. And in this moment, allowing this to be enough, just you, your body and your breath. So we take time to practice getting quiet and connecting to our breath. So that when things become a little more hectic or chaotic, we'll be able to find this in those moments too. We take another couple of deep breaths here. Just being aware of what might be going on in your mind, any thoughts or thinking. You might like to imagine your thoughts almost as clouds here passing you by, so you can watch those thoughts move on by. But if you feel yourself getting caught up or carried away with any of those thoughts or thinking, just noticing without judgment, stay kind towards yourself. And then remind yourself of your breath. So the breath becomes our anchor. And we allow this to be a continual practice. When you're ready, begin to draw the knees in, standing the soles of the feet on the floor. Take a breath in, breath out. And then drawing the knees all the way in towards the chest now, giving the knees a gentle hug. Maybe take a soft rock or sway from side to side. And then keeping hold of your right knee, re-extending that left leg out long along the floor. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, using your left hand on that right knee to guide yourself into a twist. So we begin to guide that knee over the body and down towards the floor on the left. At the same time, we extend the right arm out at shoulder height, palm facing the ceiling, coming into this nice twist through the spine. Maybe send your gaze over that right shoulder. Take a big breath in and a breath out. And then drawing that right knee all the way back to center. And drawing that left knee in to meet it. We keep hold of the left now as we extend the right. Take a breath in. Breath out as you guide that left knee down towards the floor on the right, so crossing it over the body and opening the left arm back behind you this time. Big breath in. Breath out. So keeping all of this nice and smooth and slow today. And then drawing that left knee all the way back in. Giving both knees a gentle squeeze once again. Taking a gentle rock from side to side. And from here we're going to transition onto the belly. So we're going to come back into that same twist. So extend your right leg back out long. Take the left leg back over the body. And then roll all the way onto the right side now. So you'll find yourself resting on the right side of the body. And then begin to shuffle yourself around onto the belly. And there will be a bit of shuffling here, don't worry. Extending both legs back behind you. And we're going to find a Sphinx pose here. So drawing the elbows in underneath the shoulders. So the chest will be lifted here. Forearms nice and parallel. Spreading the fingers, we press the palms and the fingers down into the floor. There's a sense of lift through the belly button here, so we're not collapsing into the spine. There's a gentle lifting up towards the spine of the belly button. And we're pressing the tops of all 10 toes down into the mat. So we're nice and active through the whole body. From here, think about dragging your elbows back towards the hip points. And notice how that creates space for you to extend your heart forward. So we're pressing the heart forwards into space and drawing the shoulders back, sliding the shoulder blades down the back. So almost as though you want to place your shoulder blades into your back pockets here. And we've got this nice opening through the chest, gentle back bend. Take a breath in, breath out. here, sending your gaze over the right shoulder, so just beginning to wake up into the neck. Coming back to center, take a breath in. As you breathe out, sending the gaze over the left shoulder. Inhale to center. And exhale, drop the chin towards the chest now. And just taking a couple of semicircles with the head and the neck here. And again, keeping it nice and soft, so moving slowly, maybe even slightly slower than you might like to, so you can really connect into sensation in your body today. And then coming back to a nice neutral place, take a breath in, lift the heart. Breath out, take the elbows out to the sides, rest all the way down onto the belly. Resting a cheek, one cheek on the floor. And just take a breath here, resting on the front of the body now. And as you breathe in, really filling the space that's available to you. So sending that inhale into the back of the ribs, feeling the back of the ribs expand. And exhale, a sense of relaxing, softening. From here, bringing the hands in underneath the shoulders, pressing into the hands now to lift up to the knees. And then send your hips all the way back towards your heels, finding a child's pose, Balasana. Releasing the forehead down into the mat. If you prefer, you can make a cushion for the forehead with the hands. Finding this gentle rounding through the back. And again, returning to the rhythm of your breath. Let's take one more breath here, breathing in and breathing out. And then inhale, drawing yourself forwards, coming into a tabletop. We're going to step the right foot forwards in between the hands. So it might come part of the way, that's fine. Use your hand to draw that foot forward, whatever you need to do here. As you inhale now, reaching the arms all the way up towards the ceiling to find your low lunge here. So make sure that that front knee is stacked directly on top of that front ankle. And there's a sense of tucking of the tailbone, tucking of the pelvis under. So we don't want to leave the tailbone behind. We really want to draw it in underneath ourselves. So maybe you're up in more of a right angle today. That's absolutely fine. Maybe you've got a bit more space to move into. Wherever you are, making sure that you can still breathe. So we want to find what we call our soft edge. So we're not forcing or pushing the body, but just finding somewhere where we can feel that stretch into the front of the left hip flexor, but that we can still breathe deeply. So take a nice big breath in. And a breath out. Soften the shoulders. Nice. From here, releasing the hands all the way back into the mat. We'll find a twist here. So keeping that left hand where it is, reaching the right fingertips up towards the ceiling now. See if you can widen across the chest as you reach the fingertips high. Breath in. And breathing out to release that right hand all the way back into the floor. Inhale here, send your heart forward. Similar feeling to our Sphinx pose. As you exhale, glide your hips back now, working into a hamstring stretch. So maybe you walk the hands back. Working your front leg towards straight. Now if you're tight in that leg, the leg might not be straight, that's okay. We're going to flex the foot, draw the toes up towards the face. See if you can really draw that right hip back and in towards the midline. Find as much length into your spine as possible. Breath in. Breath out. Got 2 more breaths here. And as we take these slightly longer holds in poses again, checking with the mind, make sure that any internal dialogue today is kind. Particularly if you're feeling this in the hamstring or the hips. Making sure that Your internal dialogue is encouraging and kind. One more breath, breathing in and breathing out. Now you might like to stay here or coming into a twist, so keeping the left hand where it is, keep drawing that right hip back. We bring the right hand onto the right hip now. From here we begin to rotate the body round towards that right hand side. Really draw that top shoulder back and open the chest. And again, you might stay here with that hand on the hip or maybe extending the fingertips up towards the ceiling. Be mindful here that right hip is going to want to hike up and forwards. Keep drawing it back and in. Nice big breath in. And breath out to release all the way back into the mat. Nice. From here, bending back into that front knee. Planting the hands into the mat now and taking that right foot back to meet the left into your tabletop. Just finding a nice twist in the opposite direction for the upper body now. So taking that right hand for your thread the needle. Thread the hand behind the back of the left wrist. Back of the hand sweeps along the floor. We extend the fingertips forwards. And we come to rest on the shoulder and the side of the face. As much as possible, keeping the hips stacked on top of the knees here. And you can keep that left hand exactly where it is for support. Or maybe extending the left fingertips towards the ceiling now. And if you're feeling any tension in the neck, think about drawing your hips back slightly. Let's take one more breath in. And as you breathe out, release that left hand, press into the hand, unravel through the spine. Placing that right hand back underneath the shoulder, let's find a cat-cow here. Inhale, lower the belly, lift the chest. And exhale, rounding it to the back. Nice. Let's just take one more. Inhale to lower the belly, lifting the chest. And exhale to round. And then coming back to a nice neutral spine, we'll take that on the left. So stepping the left foot forward now in between the hands, whatever journey you need to arrive there. And then as you inhale, reaching the arms up, drawing the body up. Finding that sense of tuck of the pelvis under. And then exhale, can you soften into that front knee just a little more? So deepening the fold in that front knee. Checking here that the shoulders aren't creeping up towards the ears again. Keep them nice and low. Breath in. Breath out. And then again, releasing the hands, framing that front foot. We find our twist. Opening the left fingertips up towards the ceiling. Maybe follow with the gaze. Breathing in. Breathing out. And then we release the left hand. Inhale, send the heart forwards, find length in your spine, and then exhale, gliding the hips back. Maybe walking the hands back slightly if you need to, shuffle that foot forward so you can keep the hips stacked over the knee. Flexing into that foot for our hamstring stretch here. Draw that left hip back and in towards the midline. Inhale. And exhale. 2 more breaths. And you might stay exactly as you are. We're coming into that twist, so keeping the right hand where it is, left hand comes onto the hip. We begin to open the chest to the left and maybe extending the fingertips up towards the ceiling on top. And see if you can really find this twist coming from the torso rather than the shoulders. So maybe the arm doesn't reach quite to the ceiling, maybe it's on more of a diagonal. But really feeling the right side of the ribs wrapping through and opening to the left. Let's take one more breath in. And breath out to release. Bending back into that front knee, framing the foot and taking that knee back to meet the right. We'll find our thread the needle, so take that left hand, thread it behind the right wrist, back of the hand sweeps along the floor, reaching the fingertips away from the face, coming all the way down onto the shoulder. Maybe reaching the right fingertips up this time. One more breath in here. See if you can reach the fingertips a little higher. And then exhale to release the right hand, pressing into the hand as you unravel through the spine. Placing that left hand back under the shoulder. Take a breath in here. Breath out to tuck the toes, reach the hips back. Let's take a downward facing dog. So extending the hips and the tailbone back and up into space. Checking those fingers are spread, every single knuckle, every single fingerprint, grounding down into the mat. And if you're still tight in the hamstrings, keeping the knees nice and bent. And allowing in any movement that feels good for you. So exploring this pose. Explore what it means to be in this pose today for you and your body. Just a couple of breaths here, opening into the back of the body. Yeah, and then releasing the knees all the way back into your mat. Find your tabletop. Untucking the toes, reaching the hips back to the heels, refinding your child's pose, Balasana. And taking this opportunity to come back to your breath. And then making your way forwards. Once again, coming back into your tabletop, we'll find a melting heart pose here. So we're going to replace the wrists with the elbows. So we're going to place the elbows down onto our mat. And just like in our Sphinx pose, forearms nice and parallel, palms connecting down into our mat. From here, we begin to walk our knees back towards the back edge of our mat. And we begin to melt our heart down towards our mat. Releasing the forehead down onto the mat. Or again, maybe bringing in a prop here. You can place the forehead onto a prop. But we're reaching the tailbone and the hips back similarly to our downward facing dog. The hips are reaching back in space. And we've got this nice opening through the front of the chest and the shoulders. And just be mindful here that you're not collapsing into the middle of the back. So there's a gentle lift of the belly button up towards the spine. The sense of the tailbone reaching back towards the heels, elongating through the spine. Breathing deeply. And then beginning to lift the chest, bending into the elbows, drawing the hands in underneath the shoulders, finding your tabletop once again. Take a breath in, breath out, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. And just noticing if there's a little bit more availability now in the shoulders, maybe the chest moves back towards the thighs just a little more. Remember, you can keep the knees nice and bent. As always, allowing in any movement that feels good for you. And then again, we release the knees into the mat tabletop. Untucking the toes. Balasana, child's pose. Completely release, relax. This time you might like to take the hands back towards the feet. Allow the shoulders to drop down towards the mat, a bit of a rounding through the upper back now. And then from here, rolling up through the spine, using the hands to support you if you want to here. And we're going to come into a comfortable seat to close. So if you're happy in the cross-leg position, maybe finding that position now. And by all means, bringing in props, maybe blankets over the legs, blocks under the hips, whatever it might be. And just bringing the hands in front of you and rubbing the palms together, generating a little bit of warmth, a little bit of heat between the hands. And then taking the palms and placing the palms over the heart. And if the heart doesn't feel nurturing to you or safe to you today, then please choose a position that does. Maybe that's the shoulders, the arms, the belly, whatever it might be. Listen to your body and do what feels right for you. Elbows gently dropping towards the body. Shoulders nice and soft. And you can close your eyes here. Inhaling, filling the lungs. And exhaling. And just for a moment, connecting to any sensation beneath the hands, feeling your body beneath the hands. Perhaps that's the rise and the fall of the breath. Perhaps the beating of the heart. Whatever it is, becoming present with that thing in this moment. And we take 3 breaths to close. With each breath, repeating the mantra, peace begins in me. Peace begins in me. Knowing you can return to this place at any point throughout your day, using your breath as your anchor. Gently bowing your head in gratitude to yourself for your practice today, for showing up and for being as you are, always enough.